We're live at the Congress.
Good evening, Chip. My name is Ann, and I am interested if you see anything on the immediate horizon to give us poor people out here that are paying 30+% in taxes, any kind of tax relief at all. And I'm having a very hard time buying the Republican line that it's okay for some to be paying 14% when us middle classers down here are paying over 30%. And I'm wondering what you can tell me about that.
Yeah, and you don't know Kevin Gettner by a chance, do you? Kevin Gettner? Gettner? Yes. Gettner. You know Kevin?
Do I know Kevin? Yes.
You do? He's sitting right across from me right now. He's in my office. He's down here with the realtors, and he decided to come join us and see how one of these town halls work. What in the Path to Prosperity, the budget that we passed in the House, the top tax code is 25%. So you won't be paying 30% for. And I don't know what your current tax situation is. So you'll be coming down to 25%. Now, do you own a small business, Ann?
No, but property.
Okay, you own property.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's I understand what you're saying there. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to bring down the higher tax is to help small businesses like yourself and owning property to bring that down to a maximum of 25%, and also get rid of some of the loopholes that you were talking about. Now, Warren Buffett has come out and said that I only pay 16% taxes because the only thing he brings in is dividend income. So that's why he pays 15, 16% in taxes. He says he pays more than his secretary makes. I'd really like to know how much his secretary makes because, a 16% tax rate, she's probably making about three figures. So, or, pretty close to it. So, but anyway, we understand that we have to get a simpler, flatter tax code, and especially, I don't know what kind of properties that you own, but especially be able to get property owners and people that own, buildings, things like that, to be able to reinvest in it. And the big thing we're hoping is that small businesses start creating jobs. So that's one of the big things for us. So we're going to keep on pushing that, and we believe in a simpler, flatter, fairer tax code. We think that the Path to Prosperity with the 25% rate and the 10% rate, and everybody will be receiving a tax cut, pretty much. But at the same time, getting rid of some of those loopholes that that have been in a very, very complicated tax code. In the past. Now, one thing you got to understand about our current tax code is those that pay taxes, that submit tax forms, only 50% of those actually pay a tax. Now, of that 50% that actually do pay taxes, the top 50% pay 97.3% of the taxes. Now, the top 25% of the top 50% that pay taxes pay 86% of the taxes. Where the top 1% that we hear about all the time, they pay 38% of the taxes in the country, where the top 5% actually pay 60%. So we have a very, very progressive tax scale. And now remember, that is just federal taxes. That doesn't include state taxes. That doesn't include property taxes. That doesn't include city taxes on top of that. So we have a very progressive tax code. And that's why we want to try to get a simpler, flatter, fairer system where, it promotes growth, promotes job expansion, and I think that's the way to go. I've never seen anybody get taxed to prosperity. I've never seen any country do that. We've already seen what's happening in France when the president comes out and says there's going to be 78% tax rate. Just think about that for a second. That means over 3/4 of a year you give everything that you earn to the government. Think about that. So you'd be working through all the way through September, and everything you earn through September would be given to the government, and that is just the federal taxes. That doesn't include any other taxes on top of that. So thank you very much, Ann. I appreciate it, and like I said, hopefully we'll be getting the path of prosperity passed and moving forward. Again, press *3 to ask a question. Press 1 to subscribe for future teletown halls and updates from my office, or press 2 to be removed. Thank you. All right, Mike, who's next?
Okay, thanks, Chip. Next caller is Jen from Pine City. Jen, go ahead. You're up next.
I've heard many politics say that they're going to reduce the price of gas and that they'll put down the prices and stuff. When do you think that plan will actually take in action?
That's a very good question. And one of the things, one of the chief components at why gas prices are high is because of the uncertainty in the markets. Meaning, speculators are saying, well, what happens if Iran attacks Israel, or Israel attacks Iran? And the Strait of Hormuz, which supplies 30% of the world oil, gets shut down. So there's a speculative market on there that, we have to make. We think it's a very contentious time, and that's why gas prices are high. Now, to combat that, we need to lessen our dependency upon foreign oil. Now, I think by having a pipeline like the XL pipeline that will bring a stable supply of oil from a very friendly country, I don't think Canada is going to invade us anytime soon, would be very helpful in bringing more oil into the oil markets. Now, some people said that's not going to change the price of oil. Well, you can counter that by saying when the Saudi Arabia, from the Saudis, if they just whisper that they may cut back on oil a little bit, you see oil prices dramatically increase. By bringing oil from a stable country into the market, I think will lessen the effect of the price of oil right now as well. Now, in addition to that, Jen, for example, the XL pipeline, in addition to that, building the XL pipeline will do something fantastic in this country. Create jobs, and create well-paying jobs within the country. So it's a double benefit for getting the XL pipeline moving again. Now, in addition to that, we also have to look at all the above type of resources. We have to start looking at different types of fuels, different types of engines. We need to lessen our dependence upon foreign oil, because we are also transferring our wealth to countries that really don't like us that well. I'd much rather be spending our money in Canada than spending it in the Middle East. So, good question, Jen, and we are working on that as well. But we got to get the XL pipeline going. We've got to start depending on domestic resources out of our coal, our shale oil, and using all of the above type of platform. So thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. Great question. All right, next question.
Okay, thanks, Chip. Next caller is Dan in Ely. Dan, go ahead. You're live with the Congressman.
Good evening.
Hey, Dan.
When are we going to put this non-ferrous mining systems on the fast track? The continued Polymet has the barriers thrown before them. They're working on a supplemental environmental impact. Twin Metals is spending millions of dollars exploration. Polymet is up to $40 million. When are we going to quit putting these barriers from the environmental in front of these folks when they have a clean operation going?
Yep. Dan, we've been working on that from day one. We have had 4 roundtables with Polymet and the alphabet soup of all the different agencies, both federal and state, along with the Native American tribes as well, in trying to push this forward. I can tell you that we have done an excellent job on the federal side and ensuring that the EPA starts expediting working on this project. Right now, we're having a little bit of problems on the state side on some modeling issues in PolyMet. It befuddles me on, we had to sink, I think it was 25, they had to sink 25 more wells. And in addition to that, the modeling aspect of it was not agreed to and a bit contentious. Now, I have heard that there is some additional problems. We were supposed to have an initial EIS done by the end of the summer, but I think that that's going to be pushed back a little bit further. I think that, we're trying our best to make sure that PolyMet stays on track and has everything from the federal side what they need to keep on pushing this project forward. So we're doing the best we can, and I agree with you. I mean, we're talking 350, 360 full-time mining jobs, and we realize with every mining job, it's 2.6 ancillary jobs associated with that one mining job. That's direct ancillary jobs. Not to even include the jobs where people have more money in their pockets and are spending more money. So we understand how important that is. The Twin Metals project up in Ely area, we're talking anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 jobs, full-time, high-paying jobs that we're pushing for. I mean, it's going to be miraculous. Now, that doesn't even count for the construction jobs, the thousands of construction jobs for both these mines. Of course, Ely is going to be an underground slant mine, where the PolyMet mine is going to be an open pit mine. But Dan, I got to be honest with you. I'm working as hard as I can on this, and but unfortunately, the administration is having some pushback, and our friends at the EPA are making it difficult for us. But we're doing the best we can, and so we'll keep on moving forward. We've had many committee meetings on this, and we're holding the EPA's feet to their fire. So thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. And again, press *3 to ask a question, and press *1 to subscribe for future teletown halls and updates from my office, along with pressing *2 if you don't want us to call you back. So thanks. Okay, who's next, Mike?